Have you had one of those moments? Obviously, every day you work hard, reading, meditating, clocking in, studying, but inside you're getting more and more anxious. You begin to wonder if you're not persistent enough, not disciplined enough, not good enough, but perhaps the problem is not you are not good enough. Rather, the problem is that you want to be better. We've all been taught to keep getting better. But no one tells us that if you don't grow with acceptance, growth can be a detriment. When we use becoming a better version of ourselves as an escape, when we think of becoming a better you as an escape from who we are right now, from how we feel right now, from this imperfect moment, you begin to endlessly revise, optimize, and judge yourself. It's like a never ending racetrack. You think the finish line is success or happiness, but in reality, it only takes you further and further away from your inner peace. So, why do we always feel that we are not good enough? There may be a psychological mechanism behind it that we don't want to face. There's a term in psychology called achievement anxiety. This kind of anxiety stems from our over reliance on success and over identification with our own self worth. You may unconsciously tie your value to your ability to progress and achieve. When we link success directly to our self worth, we begin to measure everything about ourselves. How much progress did you make today? Are you doing enough? Are your accomplishments meeting the expectations of yourself and others? These questions become the norm in our lives and even become a measure of the significance of our own existence. Over time, this tension and unease becomes more and more pronounced. You begin to question yourself, am I not good enough? Or even thinking, only if I'm doing well enough can I be worthy of being recognized and loved. At this point, the anxiety is no longer due to unfulfilled goals, but because you begin to question whether you are worthy of the things that are precious to you. Are you worthy of achievement? Are you worthy of being loved? Are you worthy of happiness? It is this denial of intrinsic worth that is the source of anxiety. And this anxiety, step by step, eats away at your inner peace. You begin to think that you are never good enough, always chasing the next goal which never seems to be reached. You may say to yourself, just a little more effort, a little more success, and I'll feel at ease. But that peace of mind is always temporary because it's always tied to the next goal. The problem is that we don't realize it. True peace of mind is not gained through outward achievement at all, but comes from inner acceptance and peace. This is not to say that we shouldn't strive for progress or achievement. Rather, we need to rethink, why do we strive? If our constant efforts and progress are only to escape the emptiness, restlessness, and self-doubt within us, then these efforts will never be able to fill the hole within. It's like chasing water in the desert. The farther we chase, the more exhausted we become. So how do we get out of this achievement anxiety and find inner peace? The answer perhaps lies in changing our view of growth. We are not denying growth. On the contrary, growth is a part of our lives, a process of continuous improvement, exploration, and breakthrough. However, we must realize that the true power of growth comes from developing a more harmonious relationship with ourselves, not by constantly working against ourselves. True growth is not about forcing ourselves to be perfect, but rather about accepting ourselves as we are in the moment through a gentle understanding. Growing up should be a process of getting closer to yourself, which means that you start to respect everything about yourself, including the weaknesses, shortcomings, and even the parts of yourself that you once ignored as not good enough. I wasn't loved because I was perfect. I was worth it. This statement is a deep acceptance of yourself. It is not an abandonment of self-imposed demands, but an understanding and forgiveness of your current situation. When you begin to say this to yourself, you are not only releasing your inner tension and stress, but you are also building a gentle fortress within yourself. At this moment, you are no longer the desperate man who is eager to prove himself. You are no longer the idealized image of yourself who is constantly struggling with yourself and pursuing perfection. You are your true, whole self with all your flaws and strengths as part of you. As you shift from I want to be better to I'm already good, You'll find that anxiety quietly dissipates. Anxiety stems from a fear of perfection and excessive worry about failure. But when you learn to accept your imperfections, anxiety loses its ground. You no longer measure yourself against outside standards, and you no longer fear that your inadequate self will be abandoned by the world. You begin to truly reconcile with yourself. This acceptance is not a complacency that stops you in your tracks, but a strength and confidence that comes from deep within. You know that you are good enough to cope with any changes in the outside world. You begin to realize that your inner energy is instead released in this self acceptance. Eventually, growth is no longer a burden, but a natural flow from the inside out. When you let go of the pressure of constant demands on yourself, you find yourself becoming freer and truly nourished in body and mind. It brings you closer to that truest self, carrying warmth and strength into the future. So when you feel anxious again, stop, take a deep breath, and tell yourself, I'm already good, not because I'm doing well enough, but because I was already worth it.